My name is Kira Hartley, and I'm 34. I'm a pathologist at the county morgue, the place where questions stop shouting and start answering in their own careful, unblinking way. I like that about the work. Chain of custody, timestamps, signatures that say, this is where the truth was last seen. In my family, truth is more of a suggestion. My older sister, Alyssa, has always been the headline. 2 years on me, a marketing manager with showroom teeth, a gleaming SUV, and a voice that turns even apologies into presentations. If we were a photograph, she'd be in perfect focus. I'd be the blur behind her carrying the coats. My son, Eli, is 13. He's quiet the way weather is quiet before a storm, all pressure and thinking. Curly hair that refuses to comply. A habit of reminding me to breathe when my phone lights up with names from a life I'm trying not to be drafted into. We split a muffin on school mornings and count pieces of the day like pawns before we move them. I'm seeing someone, Nathan Cole. He's steady, like good rain, and he likes to listen until words settle. His ex-girlfriend, Jenna, would post quotes about growth like they were medical advice. He learned the difference. I liked that about him. I liked that he didn't try to fix me for sport. The Sunday it happened, the air felt starched. Eli and I carried paper towels and a salad up my parents' driveway, past the oak that throws long shadows over the minivan like a teacher's ruler. I told myself we were just here for roast and polite warfare. My stomach didn't believe me. Inside, lemon cleaner, a roast that smelled like habit, and the particular silence my mother keeps for moments she's already decided about. Alyssa stood by the island, arms folded, chin lifted, posture set to closing argument. Her husband, Brad, hovered like an unpaid bailiff. Their daughter, Kendall, 9, going on jury foreman, swung her legs from a stool and watched us the way kids watch TV they know will get good. My father didn't sit. He braced a hand against the living room doorway like a bouncer checking IDs. Return the $40,000 your son took or stay out, he said. It was odd what my mind did. It moved the sentence to another room, turned it into radio static. Eli inhaled like the air had tripped him. Alyssa added, crisp as a memo, Kendall saw him near the safe. We all agreed. I looked at my boy, pale as paper. He doesn't go into rooms he hasn't been invited into. He wouldn't touch a thing that isn't his. He says sir to my father even when my father earns something less. Dad, I said carefully, the way we mark knives at work. What safe? Mom wiped a clean circle on an already clean counter. Don't make this harder, Kira. The safe wasn't a secret, but it was treated like one. Black steel box in the bedroom closet behind flannels, and the story of a paycheck once held 14 days too long. Banks fail, Dad liked to say. Cash doesn't. He wrote dates on envelopes. He had a key and a code and a memory he believed more than arithmetic. He loved showing Alyssa. I learned to pretend I didn't see. Over the years, emergencies sprouted, daycare mischarges, Brad's transition, tires that surprised everyone but physics. Money left the safe. Dessert arrived. I drove home with leftovers and someone else's debt itching my pocket. Just until Friday, Alyssa would chirp, and Friday lived in a kingdom where unicorns rent balloon arches. I thought of all that while my father blocked the doorway to dinner like I needed frisking. Say you'll bring it back, Alyssa said brightly, as if she were offering a refill. Then we can eat. Eli's mouth trembled, a mercy he tried to smother. I didn't, he whispered to me, not here. Something in me held very still, not anger, not yet, a settling. The kind a bone does around a fracture. Who has the key besides Dad? I asked. Alyssa blinked. We all do, she said, and then she rerouted. I mean, Dad does, but we know where it is, obviously. That's not the point. Did you call the police? I asked. Mom looked at me like I'd cursed in church. Family doesn't call police. Family calls consensus. Family uses children as witnesses and then goes back to carrots. Kendall swung her legs faster. She didn't meet my eyes. From the living room, Aunt Marie's voice floated in, sugar-coated and sharp. She was always different. Not the number. Not even the public shaming at my father's door. That line was the first cut, like they'd been waiting to try the word on me and felt relieved when it fit. I pictured a clipboard that wasn't there, chain of custody that didn't exist. If this were my morgue, we'd have a log. We'd have fingerprints. We'd have something that didn't need to all agree. I took Eli's hand. We're leaving, I said, calm enough that my father's jaw started to tick. You come back with the money, he said. Alyssa smiled like a curtain dropping. This doesn't have to be dramatic, Kira. As we turned, Aunt Marie's voice trailed us down the hall. Some people like to make themselves the center. Outside, the oak threw its long ruler across our path again. In the car, Eli stared forward the way you do when you're trying not to cry, so your face doesn't learn the shape. At a red light, he asked, like hope might still be on the menu, "Chess after dinner?" "Yes," I said, "but first I'm going to do something." "What?" I gripped the wheel, felt my pulse steady into work rhythm. "I'm going to collect the facts." In my head, a map unfolded. Bank statements, credit union logs, a lease photo. Alyssa once texted me for advice. Advice leaves a trail. And something else, half remembered, blinking at the edge of thought like a motion alert. A camera. Hallway by the bedroom. Installed after a neighbor kid borrowed a bike pump. The app notifications had annoyed my parents. The app would not have been annoyed back. I drove us home. Nathan texted, "How'd it go?" And I typed, "Not dinner. Evidence." He called. I let it ring out. Not because I didn't want softness, but because softness couldn't carry this box. Wednesday, 7 p.m., Alyssa's group text pinged. "We need resolution." A sticker from Kendall, a unicorn, sparkled under it like glitter over a stain. "Okay," I said to no one, to everyone. "Let's resolve. Receipts don't blink. Cameras don't take sides. Chains of custody don't love you, so they don't lie for you." I was done being the blur behind the coats. I would walk back into that house with a box. And this time, the door wouldn't be something my father held. It would be something I opened. I keep a banker's box for difficult truths. The cardboard flexes the right way when your hands shake. Tuesday night, Eli and I ate grilled cheese at the counter while the printer coughed out evidence. "What are you doing?" he asked, watching the pages slide into a neat accusatory stack. "Labeling," I said, "measuring, recording." He nodded, like that made the world safer. When he went to brush his teeth, I called banks. My father's credit union still had me authorized on alerts from the year I helped them set up online access. The rep read dates, deposits, withdrawals. I wrote them down with the particular calm I get in the morgue. July Gek. $10,000 cash deposit, Alyssa's account. August 19th, $5,000. September 30th, $3,000. Different amounts, same cadence, panic disguised as practicality. The leasing company was almost cheerful when I asked for the RX 350 paperwork. "We love our Hartley clients," the woman sang. My sister had texted me a photo of the contract in June. "Is this a good idea?" And I'd replied with the most honest boundary I had. "It's not my business." The photo was still in the thread. Advice leaves a fingerprint even when you try to keep your hands clean. Last, the camera. I dug through Dad's old app icons until I found the little blue eye none of us had uninstalled. I reset the password using his favorite combination: birth year, jersey number, the kind of code you choose when you believe knowing yourself is enough protection. The hallway bloomed into thumbnails. Door opens, door closes. Shadows of lives that didn't expect to be watched. September 30th, 2:18 p.m. Alyssa, unflattering angle, envelope labeled emergency. Turned toward the lens like it wanted a witness. I took a screenshot and printed it. The paper came out too warm, like it knew it was about to do work. Wednesday at 7:04 p.m., I stepped into my parents' living room with the box. Dad was at his post, one hand on the doorway, the other around a beer he hadn't earned. Mom hovered, smoothing a table runner that would never lie flat again. Alyssa and Brad sat on the couch with grade school distance between them, like someone had drawn a line in Sharpie and dared them to cross it. Kendall tapped at a tablet, the unicorn sticker bright as denial. Aunt Marie had brought an apple pie and the kind of smile that comes with a moral already chosen. "Before we do anything," I said, setting the box on the coffee table, "we're going to do this with evidence." Alyssa rolled her eyes so hard it made a sound. "Kira, this is family." "Chain of custody," I said, lifting the first folder. "It applies to families too, unless you prefer folklore." Dad snorted, "Get on with it." "Here," I said, laying down a sheet. "The transaction notes you kept in the safe's bank bag." I pointed to his tight block letters. Last 3 counts: July 2nd, August 19th, September 30th. End of September total, 12,300. I let the number sit. Not 40. Silence rearranged the furniture. Alyssa blinked first. Dad must have miscounted. I didn't. His jaw tugged left. I keep notes. Good, I said, sliding the second folder into the light, because this is the lease for the 2024 RX 350. Signed, June. Down payment 12,000, cash. I placed the print of her text thread beside it. Is this a good idea? And my reply, the closest I'd ever come to abdication. Brad leaned forward, bristling. What does her car have to do with your kid stealing from a safe? Because on July 2nd, I said evenly, 10,000 left the safe and 10,000 hit Alyssa's account. I placed the credit union statement. On August 19th, 5,000. On September 30th, 3. I fanned out the screenshots of Alyssa's payments to the dealership, each captioned with chirps that now read like confessions. Car stuff, LOL, ugh tires, adulting GG. Mom's mouth opened and closed. She looked smaller than the runner she'd been smoothing. This is ridiculous, Alyssa said, standing so fast her knee bumped the coffee table. You're taking things out of context. I nodded. Let's add context. I pulled the final page, the grainy still, timestamp glaring in the corner. Alyssa in the hallway, envelope in hand, door to the bedroom yawning like a mouth that said too much. Brad stood. We're done, he said, keys already in fist. I told you not to drag me into your family's weird cash obsession. He glanced at me as though I were the obsession. You people are insane. He left a door-shaped silence. Kendall flinched at the thud. Alyssa stared at the photograph like it might decide to be someone else. That was for Mom's ring, she tried. It needed cleaning. Then you write ring cleaning on the envelope before you take it, I said. Or you ask. Or you tell the truth after. What you don't do is accuse a 13-year-old because he's the softest place to land. Aunt Marie made a sound like a kettle finally giving up. Dad sank onto the edge of his chair. His fingers worried the label of the beer until it peeled back, raw. So no, I said, softer now because the incision had been made. Eli didn't take $40,000. There wasn't $40,000 to take. The number was a story you told yourself to cover a different one. Kendall looked from the still image to her mother. She didn't speak. Children rarely do when the room teaches them the cost of words. Alyssa's chin trembled. It wasn't the sort of trembling that asks for mercy. It was the kind that precedes a choice. I was stressed, she said. You blindsided me. Her voice sharpened, reaching for a familiar staircase. Family shouldn't... No stairs, I said. We're on the ground tonight. For a moment, we were all just people breathing. I packed the papers back into their folders with the same care I use for organs. The body still needs them later. Here's what happens next, I said. You will not say Eli's name like that again. You will not use him as cover for an adult decision you regret. If you think a crime has occurred in the future, call the police. File a report. Use the paperwork you don't like. Otherwise, keep your safe like you say you do, with a sign-in sheet, key control, and signatures. Dad's eyes flickered at that. Offended, then interested, like a man confronted with a new tool he resents needing. And you, I added, turning to Alyssa, will apologize to him, directly. No ifs, no buts. She swallowed. Kira. To him, I repeated. Mom started to cry. The soft, leaking kind grief does when it finds a crack. We didn't mean... You meant to make it easy, I said gently. You meant to keep the picture where you wanted it. The apple pie cooled into a smell that felt almost obscene. I closed the box. The cardboard rasped like it agreed with me. We're done here, I said. If you want to speak to me again, you start with an apology to Eli and a written policy for that safe. Treat it like it matters. No one stopped me. No one called my name. The only voice that followed was Alyssa's, small and breaking. Brad? To a hallway that had already decided. On the porch, September was doing that evening thing it does, blue seeping into everything it could touch. Eli waited in the car, hands folded like he was keeping them from touching the wrong truth. How'd it go? He asked. We reset the record, I said. And the game? Still on, I told him, buckling in. But we're choosing the board from now on. At the next red light, my phone buzzed. Nathan. Need backup? I typed. We're okay. It wasn't bravado. It was inventory. We had the one thing the room didn't, a clean chain of custody between what we know and what we'll do next. Receipts don't blink, but people can learn to. To stop staring at a lie like it owes them comfort. to look away from old arrangements and toward whatever window will finally open. Tomorrow would be quieter, and then it wouldn't. But tonight we had a rule where there hadn't been one. That was enough to sleep on. Silence lasted about 2 days. Then my phone began its slow fever. Mom's text came first. "You embarrassed your father." Then, softer, "Dinner's still at 6 if you want to talk." By morning, Alyssa joined in. "You didn't have to humiliate me in front of everyone. We're family, Kira." A beat later, "Family doesn't build PowerPoints about each other." I didn't answer. In the morgue, silence is where truth lives. At home, Eli beat me at chess twice and pretended to lose a third time. I let him. His small grin was a hinge for normal. That week, I started new routines. Wednesday breakfast at the diner near work, cheap coffee and scrambled eggs, a window that faced east. Eli liked the waitress who called him Professor because of his glasses. She refilled his hot chocolate without asking. Little things that felt like proof of life. Nathan noticed the change. He came over Friday with Thai takeout and quiet eyes. "They'll come around," he said. "I don't want them to," I answered. "I want them to learn chain of custody." He smiled. "That's the most romantic thing a scientist's ever said." We ate on the couch, the TV whispering in the background. For a while I forgot my father's hand on the door, Alyssa's smirk, Mom's clean counter guilt. For a while I was just a woman with noodles and someone who didn't flinch from my edges. Saturday evening, a knock. When I opened the door, Alyssa stood there, barefaced, hair in a knot, holding a grocery bag like it was evidence of good behavior. "Hi," she said. "Can I come in?" Eli glanced up from the chessboard. I nodded. He went to his room, soft-footed, loyal. Alyssa perched on a stool like the house might reject her. "I brought muffins," she said. "That's new," I replied. "You don't bake." "I bought them," she admitted. Symbolism. The silence stretched until it trembled. "I messed up," she said finally. Her voice cracked. "I panicked about the money. I blamed Eli because it was easier, because you always fix things." She took a breath that sounded like a confession scraping its way out. "Brad left. He says I never take responsibility, that I'm cruel." I waited. Sometimes the only power left is not rescuing someone from the echo of their own words. "I hate that he's right," she whispered. "I hate that it took losing everything to see it." I didn't hug her. I'd done that before, and it always turned into permission. "You need to apologize," I said. "I'm doing that." "Not to me. To him." Her eyes darted to the hallway. "Now?" "Yes. No ifs, no buts." When Eli came out, she knelt awkwardly, like someone trying to remember the choreography of grace. "I'm sorry, Eli," she said. "I lied about you. I knew it wasn't true, and I said it anyway because it made my life easier for a minute. That was wrong. I'll never do that again." He studied her a long time, the way only kids can, without flinching or decorating the truth. "Okay," he said finally. "Not forgiveness. A receipt." Alyssa's tears came quiet. She turned to me. "Dad won't speak to me. He says I humiliated him." "That's between you and his ego," I said. "Mine's retired." She gave a small, startled laugh. "You sound different." I stopped auditioning for peace. She left the muffins on the counter. I didn't touch them. The bag stayed there until morning, a reminder that sweetness doesn't erase mold. It just masks it. After she left, Nathan texted, "How's the storm?" I wrote back, "Passing. For now." Mom's next call came Sunday. "Your sister came home crying. You should talk to your father." Then, "He's furious you brought up the safe sign-in sheet again." Finally, "He says you think you're better than us." I almost typed, "No, I just stopped being worse to myself." But I deleted it. Some truths aren't for delivery. The house felt bigger now, quieter. There's a specific relief that comes from not waiting for someone to understand you before you breathe. That week, I switched our grocery store. New aisles, new rhythm. I bought a better desk lamp and a thrifted jacket that made Eli stand taller. We watched a bad comedy and laughed at the wrong parts. Every small, ordinary choice felt like rebellion, because it didn't revolve around fixing anyone else's chaos. Alyssa's text turned inconsistent, toggling between apology and accusation like she couldn't decide which mask still fit. "You made me look awful." Then, "I'm trying to change." Then, "You're impossible to reach." Then, a photo of Kendall's drawing, 2 stick figures and a crooked heart. "She misses you." I stared at the image. The heart had 3 lines through it, like a logo for revision. I typed, "When you apologize to Eli, we can talk." Then remembered she already had. I deleted the message and wrote nothing. Some receipts don't need doubles. Nathan asked if I wanted to take a weekend trip. Not yet, I said. I'm still unpacking silence. He didn't push, that's why I kept him. At night, sometimes anger bubbled. The old unfairness, the image of my father's hand on the door, of Kendall swinging her legs, rehearsing lies adults handed her. I'd feel my teeth clench. Then I'd remember the box, the paperweight of proof, the moment Alyssa's voice cracked, and the way Eli said okay like an ending. Not revenge, closure. In the dark, that difference sounded small, but it was the whole reason I could finally sleep. The first time Mom asked to meet alone, I almost didn't go. It was a Thursday in September, the kind of day where the light feels borrowed, half summer, half regret. She chose the diner where Eli and I always sat for breakfast. When I walked in, she was already there, sweater sleeves cuffed around a mug, eyes rimmed the color of sleeplessness. I miss you, she said before the waitress could even bring water. I sat. You miss the version of me who didn't ask for proof. She flinched, then nodded slowly. I miss not being scared around you. Scared? I asked. Scared you'll hold up a mirror. She stared at the mug. Scared you won't make it easy. I'm not making it easy anymore, I said. I'm making it honest. She exhaled. We made you the problem because you didn't yell. You kept things running, so we let you. Her voice softened. Your father says the sign-in sheet is dumb. He still uses it? Every time. Good, I said. Dumb things work. Mom looked up, eyes damp, but steadier. He won't say sorry. I noticed. I am, she whispered. I'm sorry. Tell Eli I'm sorry too. Tell him yourself, I said gently. A pause, then a faint smile, brittle but real. You were always different. For the first time, it didn't sound like a wound. When I got home, Eli was on the porch, chessboard between his knees. Was that Grandma? He asked. I nodded. Was it okay? It was, I said. We don't need everything, just enough. He made a move. Do we still play on Sundays? Yeah, I said, but we'll pick our own time. Nathan came by later with grocery bags and an easy grin. He took one look at the muffins still on the counter, Alyssa's symbolic peace offering, and raised an eyebrow. Artifact? He asked. Evidence, I said. Of attempted growth, he laughed. You going to keep it? For now, I said. It reminds me we can change without pretending the past didn't happen. 2 weeks passed. The family chat dimmed like a dying bulb. Invitations stopped coming with emojis and started arriving as formal times, as if we were colleagues instead of blood. Aunt Marie posted a meme about ungrateful children. I wasn't tagged. Dad finally called. His voice was graveled, all restraint and pride. Installed a new safe, he said. Different code, no spare key under the flannel. Sign-in sheet, too. Good, I said. Treat it like it matters. He grunted. You always think you're better than us. I never did, I said quietly. I just stopped letting you be worse to me. He hung up. Life adjusted in increments. Eli joined the school chess club. I volunteered to drive 2 kids home after practice. They filled the car with talk of gambits and checkmates and snacks. I liked the noise. I stopped checking my phone during lunch breaks. I stopped answering calls I didn't want to answer. The quiet felt earned. Some nights the anger still rose uninvited, remembering Dad's hand on the door, Alyssa's smirk, Kendall's small, confused face. But now, when the heat climbed, I'd say it aloud in the mirror, not revenge. Closure. The words fit differently each time. Less armor, more truth. One Sunday at 6, my phone lit up with missed calls. Mom, Dad, Aunt Marie. Then a text from Mom. We're eating. Your plate is here. Once I'd have rushed to fill that empty chair. Instead, I set the phone down and said, Diner? Eli's eyes brightened. Can I get pancakes this time? Absolutely. At the diner, the waitress winked at his glasses. The professor's back. He grinned, proud. On the TV above the counter, a football game played to a loud room of strangers cheering for people who couldn't hear them. Eli cut into his pancake, thoughtful. You ever think about how many people shout at a screen expecting it to help? I laughed into my coffee. Yeah, I said, but at least we're not in that room anymore. He smiled, small, steady, free. That night, I stood by the window, looking out at the streetlight slicing the dark. The apartment smelled of syrup and soap, ordinary and perfect. The banker's box sat on the shelf, sealed now. My name is Kira Hartley. I cut through noise for a living. Now I do it at home too. The moral's simple. I don't pay for lies, and I don't lower the bar for peace. This isn't revenge. It's closure. A door I hold open for me and my son. If you want in, the price is simple. Tell the truth, respect the boundary, and bring your receipts.